Welcome to this symposium. I'm very honored to have a joint symposium like this with GAVI, now led by old friend Mrs. Kurokawa, and also Itachi Yamada, who also another very old friend for many years, joining with us. I think the poverty is one of the major issues everybody knows, and conventionally, this kind of poor countries and nations has been done two ways. Ordinarily, that has been done donor country from ODA, so-called, from bilateral, from government to government. And then another route would be, for example, United Nations and WHO, World Bank, and that multilateral, and the government donate and donor country, then they will just distribute to the government, the recipient government. But the things have been changing over perhaps last 10 to 20 years because the end of Cold War and connectivity begin to happen, and then many travel to the, let's say, Africa and the tourism and India, and awakening people also like to help them, the suffering. And then there's an emergence of many so-called NGOs, passionate and engaging, empathic group of people who begin to this bottom-up approach, engaging, empathy-driven, but many NGOs, and they feel a very strong ownership. That's quite often ineffective. That may be the truth. On the other hand, government-led ODA program usually takes time, and by its own nature become very bureaucratic. And also the governance is quite dependent on the recipient country. Now, over the last 5 years, this has been changing again, because usually, like most customary donor countries, like Japan, USA, and other affluent countries, are stuck with not much growth in economy, and also aging society, and changing the disease pattern of non-communicable disease and many disease burdens, and healthcare reform become one of the major political issues. And they may raise a voice, why we have to give this ODA for poverty, although MDG and other things. And also another one is after Lehman shock, even European countries and the US and Japan so much debt in your fiscal budget. So the public begin to say, why we have to do that? Because we also getting a lot of the diversified and widening rich and poor. That's the thing. So even in the United States, for example, if you measure the annual revenue of individuals, the top 1% capture about 23% of wealth each year. And if you think this global world, top 1% people capture more than 99% of income generated throughout the year. Another issue is like 80% of people in the world now has access to mobile phone. And new mobile phones have become more and more smartphones, wireless, and they begin to see the reality of the world. And they begin to realize how unfortunate and unfair the world we live in. And so they become angry. And so that may have led in part to Arab Spring. And donor countries are just stagnated with economic growth and domestic issues. And many presidential campaigns in the US and German prime ministers and Korea, everywhere, it's become quite known in the world. So now how are we going to cope with this wide range of diversified, also unfair, unjust world affairs? One is not necessarily nations. There are many new, diverse, innovative ways to address this solution. That's what we're going to discuss today. And particularly, I think private sector can do so much if you think different. Now, one is obviously pharmaceutical company provides a new drugs, vaccine, new treatment, malaria, and all things. It's coming, how to deliver to those who need. That is another issue. That not only requires manpower, but that requires some source of money. Now, so another one is new emergence. It's an old tradition, but the emergence of, for example, the Gates Foundation philanthropy. And they are wealthy institutions with a good cause, but they have a very savvy business expertise, so that they want to solve this issue, but they are not giving just money away, so that they want to target certain things, and they just spend to make the world a bit better place. But I think this kind of strategic investment by the philanthropy is sort of function as a catalyst of this bottom-up engaging NGO to often bureaucratic top-down government-to-government kind of program, so that through this investment, I think both top-down to bottom-up can make one step further forward through the common goals. That has been very helpful. In fact, Gates Foundation's annual budget is much larger than WHO, but also more effective in catalyzing certain things. It's really change makers. So that's a good one. But still, that may not be enough. Everybody just goes go to Gates Foundation, give us money, give us money. That's many things. Even nation wants that, WHO wants that, and UN wants it, and many NGO wants it. So how are we going to dissect that all the things? How do we know? Now, there are many sort of smart people thinking different ways in the global world. And one example is GAVI, which says explained right now. I think they have a unique mechanism to link potential donors and to the recipient organization, more sort of outcome-driven, more efficient. But also another unique thing is also they are selling national bonds, like Norway, and South Africa, and UK. And a month ago I was in Norway and engaging in some panel discussion. Then Prime Minister came to an opening keynote. I thought everybody thought this was 5 minutes, but he gave a talk for 20 minutes. How proud they are to be a part of GAVI with Norwegian national bond. That's a great thing. But he's coming next month to Tokyo. But I think that kind of new mechanism so that you can choose your money, donating to the same cause, but not your tax money to your government, and not necessarily your buying some share of big pharmaceutical company, but rather buying the bond of reasonably incredible countries, 7 countries at the moment. So you can buy, so you can choose how you want to spend your money into the common goals of this global health. So that's a very innovative way, and that businesses came here to preach you. This is an opportunity for your choice to improve global health issues. Another example of private sector is everybody knows one is BedNet. One of the most effective tools for Sumitomo may not be here today, but I think somebody will be here, is a BedNet. And this is produced in the factories primarily in Tanzania. And I think 2 years ago, Sumitomo developed a third factory producing BedNet, which created about 6,000 jobs, which is a very important issue, creating a job in the local community. And so this is one of the major contributions of Japanese sort of corporate sectors. But think about who is creating this company in Tanzania. That is sort of A to Z, one of the typical patient capital from New York, who is Jacqueline Novogratz. So she just created this company with Tanzania, and that also created wealth to Tanzanian people, and also created 6,000 jobs with a great product they're producing. So that's another way for you to think private sector. What you can do to those who need your product and your some technology and what your expertise. You have to go there and live there, otherwise you never know what they're doing. Few other things. Corporate can do more because corporate is more business oriented, therefore very efficient in delivering your service and product. But you may not have a network. So that's another issue. But let's think about it. If you live in affluent country, like largest GDP like Japan and other countries, but not growing, no growing economy. But those who need this donor, this kind of support, are growing market now. Many countries in Africa and Asia are growing. And therefore, it's not the CSR, so-called CSR you're talking about, it's not. This is the most strategic investment for your company and branding the company for the future buyer, future market. And if you come when they grew, I think that may be too late for you to come in. So you have to make friends, invest, and your company's name and product name known to kids and mothers, and that's the way they become a future customer and employee and want to work for your company. So you have to think about how much you're spending in public relations, PR and TV and global TV network. Just think about maybe 20% of this PR budget into such a kind of strategic investment. I think the return will be much, much bigger in the future. There are many things. Just think about it. So many universities in the US and also UK and some in Japan now, because they know they are going to live very uncertain but global world. So I think your partner will become everywhere in the world. Do you know, have you ever lived in India and some part of Africa? Unless you live together, maybe even 1 month, with the same peers, with the same student, as they become a future leaders, you have so many connecting dots in the future. So why don't you send this student to such a different places where you become a partner in the future global world? And in fact, they are very, very active in developing a program to undergraduate students to make such an experience, and that resulted in many, many new, very innovative business. For example, D-Light. D-Light is like solar panel with the LED and with the battery inside, with a cardboard box, which is selling $1 a piece. And that would save the spending on the kerosene and extra hours for the kitchen in southern India and many places. So I think you can do many, many things, and you have also much higher priced, more elaborate D-Light, which is selling maybe $20 a piece, which was one of the major support after tsunami in Tohoku area. And they just, Copernicus, they are sending a lot of this kind of D-Light into the Iwate and tsunami coast area because they didn't have a light for the first few days or so. I think that's the new innovation. So just think about many, many innovative ways. What you can do as a corporate and private sector. For example, you can also donate, contribute to the global funds. And because I think Global Fund, I think Takeda is a partner at the moment, but I think Global Fund, and they will talk about your company. You know, Global Fund often meet with some leaders of each nation and big shots. Can you see them? You can't. But they talk about this company, that company, and they give you that name, and that name go into the leaders of the nation and big corporate, and Takeda, Chevron, all the things, and just that is a powerful PR agent. So why don't you do that? That is not, if you think about this around the PR budget, it's not so expensive. It's worth your consideration. Okay? So I think I like to summarize that many, many ways for private sector not only try to deliver and develop a new vaccine and sort of medical drugs, but there's many ways for you to invest to make this global health as one of your participants, and also like participants and active sort of problem-solving agency in the world. And that's become your challenge, but there's many, many examples. And just invest on the young, innovative people. And I think if you think different, you could make your company a bit of a different, reputable company. Thank you very much.